Why, hello everyone. This is AL Pick Madame. I hope y'all have been having a wonderful week. The work week is finally, well, about to be over for me tomorrow, and I'm very happy about it. I'm so glad we had one less day to have to be at work. I am so happy. But anyway, y'all, just like I suspected, or at least in my opinion, I feel like this was a super duper filler episode. So let's go ahead and get into this because I can't. Y'all, Molly is actually, the way they picked it up, they had it pick up where we saw Issa at that restaurant. They were at this Ethiopian restaurant, and that's when we saw Issa's viewpoint. So this week they wanted to show Molly's viewpoint. And I knew it. Like in the back of my mind, I was like, I knew it. Y'all, tell me why this heifer saw Issa. She saw Issa before Issa even saw her. Like she saw her getting out of the car coming to the door. Way before Issa even looked inside and saw she was in there. So she sat up there and gathered herself. And that's why she was looking like she was just so enthralled with what she was looking at in the phone. And I was just like, girl, you're doing the most. But it's funny because Issa never went inside as we saw. But by the time she looked up again, Issa was dipping off back into her car. And that's why I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I was so happy last week when she did not engage, because I was like, girl, do not do it. Do not give in. Do not be this same person that you always are and indulging in insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. You already know what it's going to be. It's going to be the same thing. If you keep being the one that comes to her and say, I'm sorry. And it's like, why? I don't understand what it is about Molly that she does not want to accept her part in the issues that she and Issa end up having with one another ultimately. And it then got to the point where it's like, especially with this season, whenever Issa would say something, it literally is what it is. So it's like, now it just seems like you mad because she told you the truth and you don't want to accept the truth. Girl, it just is what it is. Change what you know you need to change about yourself. And you're just super predictable at this point. Anyway, she done left the place finally and she got home, and Andrew, Andy, whatever she want to call him, her boyfriend is at her house. And he can tell that something ain't right with her and asks what's wrong. And that's when she goes into telling him that she saw Issa at the place and, you know, she ran away from her like it was a job. And I was just like, girl, you doing the most. Like it was a job that she didn't want or something, she said. I was like, Lord, girl, you doing the most. So anyway, fast forward to later on when the daytime happens, I guess the next day. She's at work and, she actually is preparing to go on this trip, a vacation or whatever she want to call it. Her and Andrew are supposed to be going to Mexico, and his family, or at least like a few of his family members, like his brother and his sister-in-law, they're going to be there. Somebody else is supposed to be there, but they're not going to show up. I don't believe. I don't think. Unless I just completely glossed over that part when I watched it. Because after all, this was a filler episode. Anyway, y'all, so next day she at work. She's so deep in her feelings about how things went down with her and Issa that she's snapping at the person who's supposed to be helping her because the girl, she didn't do what she was supposed to do, and she needs to be briefed on certain cases and all kinds of stuff. And so I understand the girl did need to be reprimanded or whatever, but it's just the way she's talked to her. It's like, girl, you did not have to talk to that girl like that. Now, if this was how she act all the time, yeah, she need to go find her another job. But I feel like this isn't something that she does all the time. So I don't feel like she should have been yelling at the girl, going off like that at the girl. So anyway, whatever. Y'all, so this heifer is running late to get to LAX to go and get on the flight. And if her man hadn't been standing at the gate, they would have closed the gate on her, as they like to call it. And she really is like, I don't see you. Where am I supposed to be going? I'm like, girl, you ain't got nothing going on. She tried to make it seem like the driver got her there late, whatever. It don't even matter. So at this point, they finally are on the plane and they're settling in and they're trying to have this little spicy moment where he's doing things to her on the plane that is loaded down with people. And this is when we actually see who I told y'all about last week when we saw the preview. they had Kim Fields on there, and she's playing some woman who is like newly divorced. She had been with this man for like 20-25 years, and this is like day 3, 4, or 5 of her being free, finally free and whatever. And she just she be doing the most. I was like, oh, okay. It's random for her to be in this and have such a small role, but you know, it is what it is. I ain't gonna knock it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Do what you do. So, like I said, they trying to have a spicy moment on the plane. He over here, you know, doing some things. I ain't gonna go into that. I try not to talk about, you know, too explicit things like that on this channel. I try not to go there, but if you seen the episode, you know what was going on. You know what was going on. Anyway, so she enjoyed that. They end up touching down, and of course they're greeted by his brother and his sister-in-law, and they have this big schedule of things they want to do. The brother-in-law want to have massages all day, every day. Like, he wants every single second of the day booked to capacity. And even before they left, Molly was not here for that. So I was just like, okay. And they kind of trying to have their me time. They're still really considered to be a new couple. So ain't nobody trying to be all around everybody else. Who, I mean, he done married, his brother married whoever he with. I don't know how long they've been married, and he still looks relatively young, and she does too, but they're married. So I'm pretty sure they didn't marry each other after just seeing each other after one day. So they have a little time under their belt versus, you know, his brother and his new woman. So they're trying to explore things sexually. It's like Molly seems like she's trying to be open to a lot of stuff, and they start talking about that when they get to the room. And she was like, you know, I just want to be able to do certain things like out in the open, where it's like I know that I run the risk of getting caught. And so they were like having sex out in the public, and like they was doing the most. They was doing the absolute most. So they basically skipped out on all the activities that were planned for the day that they flew in, and they started anew the next morning, and they were gonna have like this little run hike thing where they were gonna go up this incline, and eventually they were gonna zip line back down to get where they came from or whatever. So they did that. Molly said she enjoyed it. Lies. That's something I would never do. If I ever do zip lining, I would never be that high up. Lies and deception. But yeah, she said she enjoyed it. Like, she's trying to be like open and adventurous and just really open to trying new things that she would never do before. Like, just like, in all honesty, I feel like they wanted to kind of have this to kind of revert back to us being introduced to her, kind of looking at him like, I would never date nobody that looked like him. You know, if it wasn't black, she wasn't trying to date him or whatever. You need to be black for me to just date you. So it's like she's trying to be open to like as much as she feels like she can be open to. So yeah, y'all, I feel like that's what it is, and that's why everything is just so invigorating for her, which is fine. Ain't nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, I feel like she's just trying to really find herself sexually, and she wants to just try things that normally she wouldn't, and do things that she normally wouldn't do, which is cool, but hopefully it won't end up biting her in the behind later on. So they ended up having fun the rest of the night, went out dancing, did all this. So when they got back to the room, and they did all the things they was going to do in the room, at one point in time, they were relaxing, and then he got back to the room. I guess he left his phone, and Nathan had been calling him. You know, Nathan is actually his roommate. He'd been calling him, so I was like, dang, Nathan been calling me. Let me see what he talking about. So he ends up FaceTiming him, and Nathan is asking, I think, where is the garage door opener or something like that. He needed a remote to something, and apparently whatever he normally uses is broken again. And so he was like, man, you know, I got another one, and he was explaining to him where he could find it. So then we hear Issa in the background talking to him about something. Like, it was a very like less than 2 or 3 second moment where she said a few words, but we knew Issa was there with him. And so then he ended the call, right? Molly and her feelings. And she over here trying to judge her because she looking at her like, look at her. She over here trying to deal with him. And look at this. See what I'm talking about? This is messy Issa. This is a messy situation again. And so Andrew had to kind of let her know, like, when they met, he was going through a lot of stuff. So you need to be, kind of considerate. And so she trying to figure out, what could it have been that was that deep to where he just disappeared, had all this stuff going on. And so he had like a mental breakdown, and like he was going all the way through like mental issues or nothing to play with. So then she was kind of like empathetic to the situation then when she heard that. So for Issa to even consider giving him another chance to even be friends is big of her, because a lot of these people that she has dealt with before, they are not worth a second glance, and we already know they're trash. So I don't even know how I feel about them possibly dating and trying to go down the road they were doing and going down before, but we have something else to discuss before the end of this video, so I'm gonna hold all of that commentary until then. Okay, so I know I'm wrong, and since I don't talk about certain things on this channel like that, but I kind of have to discuss what happened on this one scene. So after everything happened where Andrew got off the phone with Nathan, they had, sexy time or whatever, and she came out in this lingerie and all this other stuff, and she kind of wanted to have this dominatrix, BDSM or whatever type situation going on, and she like had him like in bondage just a little bit with his hands, tied or handcuffed together, and she told him that he was going to basically eat her booty like groceries. And I was just like, well, ma'am. And they actually had her to act this out on the screen. And I was just like kind of in cringe mode for a moment. Like, wow, we're just gonna show this on TV, but okay. I know it's HBO, y'all. I'm just being silly, but I wasn't ready for it. That's why I was just like, oh, well, excuse me. Y'all, I kind of don't know how to feel about this part. So anyway, the next day they went and they were going to be out at the pool and just, all four of them were going to talk. And while they were in the middle of talking, somebody like swam by and like did the most and like paddled all of this water into the eyes of his brother's wife. And her eyes were like burning. So Molly was like, oh my gosh, that has to hurt. Let me go get a towel for you. And like, for some reason, his wife is like infatuated with her. Like she compliments her, like she over compliments her, like she sets it off. At one point in time earlier in the episode, Molly was like, yeah, do I need to worry about her like trying to take advantage of me later or trying to have sex with me later? Like she really be doing the most. And I don't know if she's trying to do that because Molly's the only black person in the room and everybody else seems to be like, not like, I don't know if that's why she's doing that or if that's just how she is, that she genuinely is feeling like that. I don't know. I can't really gather that. But anyway, she offered to go do this. She went up to the cabana to go and get the towel for her. And the little girl was like, I need to see your room key or whatever. And so she was like, well, oh, I don't have it on me, but I'm staying here. And so she was like, oh no, that's, the policy here. We have to see your room key in order for us to give out towels. Well, for some reason, Molly just decided to set it off and was like, really? Well, it didn't seem like you needed it. The people before me needed a towel, needed to do that in order to get a towel. And like, I was confused because I'm like, I could have sworn I watched her walk up there and the people who were in front of her were leaving, literally had their towels in their hands and turning to walk away. Unless she was watching the whole exchange and she had supersonic hearing, I don't even understand how she was able to gather that all of this stuff was happening and that it was just some sort of racist moment against her. And I was just like, given the time and the social climate that we live in, these people are in Mexico. The person who you are talking to at this moment is, if I'm not mistaken, someone who is of Mexican, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They are not white. They are not black. They are not whatever her boyfriend and his brother and wife are. You know what I'm saying? The Asian persuasion or whatever they are. I have no idea. But of all people to say that, oh, this must be a racist situation. I was very conflicted because I'm like, well, was it? And then, like, you wouldn't think that, given that it's Mexico and a whole group of white people. She was very polite to them and all this other stuff, and she was trying to let her know, like, no, they had to present their cards too. And she was just trying to make it seem like, well, it didn't seem like they had to do that. It just seemed like it's a racist situation. I mean, she started setting it off, and it was bad. Like, she got really, really loud, and the girl was like, it's policy. Like, what are you talking about? Man, the brother came out of nowhere and presented his key, and she reached out to give the towel to him, and Molly reached over and snatched it out of the girl's hand and marched back over to the pool to give it to the girl. I was like, oh my gosh. So then, of course, a conversation happened while they were in the pool, and she was just like, man, here go the typical BS. And her boyfriend was like, well, dang, okay, well, if she's saying this to me, this must have been what happened. And so the brother is looking like, I don't really feel like that was the situation. Do you really think that's what it was? They started going back and forth. Like, Molly was done, and she just went all the way off to the point of where I don't know anybody who really would want to fool with her after all that, but she went all the way off. Like, y'all, it really was so bad to the point where when she was going back and forth with the brother, she was like, y'all only consider it to be a fight of, or actually considering yourself to be a person of color when it benefits you. So old girl, the wife who had always been on her side, she was like, oh no, like she was done. Like she was looking at her like, I can't believe you said that. Why would you say such a thing? It was so funny. But yeah, he just was kind of trying to say, like, you should just pick your battles. Maybe it wasn't all of what you thought it was. And, really was it all like what you was trying to say it was? Was it really all that or not? So I kind of think she was blown out of proportion. And y'all already know, if anybody, she would have been the girl at the cabana, probably wouldn't have wanted to serve the other people because of, who's in office and what is he talking about? Building walls, trying to keep them out and all this other stuff. Like, if you're going to go that direction, you would make sense for you to think it through and then say, oh, well, maybe I am going a little bit overboard with my thought process in this moment. Y'all, so I don't know what happened, but the whole day passed by. We didn't see no more activities go on. It had apparently been a very, very rough day after she said what she said. And it was so crazy to the point where the next day came about and it was almost 12 o'clock noon before she was awakened by the sound of Andrew coming in the room. So he'd gone out and done all the little stuff he was going to do, talk to his brother and all this other stuff, and then brought her back a beverage and all this other stuff. And she was like, dang, you didn't wake me. And so he was like, yeah, I kind of figured that you needed a moment. I figured you needed to sleep in. And so she was able to sleep in. But he said that the brother apologized and all this other stuff because she thought that maybe she needed to go apologize. And at this point, I don't know if Andrew was just saying that his brother apologized or if he actually did. But I don't know. I don't even feel like he really owed her an apology because in all actuality, from where I'm sitting, it kind of seemed like she was just grasping at straws, trying to make it seem like all this stuff went down like that when the girl was just doing the hotel policy. But anyway, whatever. Okay, so they ended up making back to LAX, meaning they got back home. They are claiming their baggage, all their good stuff, their luggage, however you want to call it. People call it what they want to call it. And this is when Molly sees Lawrence, and they have an awkward moment upon greeting one another. He tried to shake her hand and she tried to hug him, and he was like, oh, okay. So they kind of like awkwardly hugged, and I was like, but anyway, y'all, it was a mess. So he asked, where were they coming from? Because she did do the introductions or whatever, because she's never met him, never knew of him like that or whatever. And so after the introductions happened, He was like, oh, where y'all coming from? And like, I don't know, sometimes she talks so fast, I cannot understand what she said. But the way Andrew looked at her, it was like, he looked at her like, I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comment section what in the world she even said. But anyway, and so she was like, well, where are you coming from? And he only went to another part of California, which was San Francisco. Y'all, her response was beyond goofy, nerdy, and everything else. Like, as nerdy as I am, I don't even think I would have even thought to say this. This heifer said, you got it, dude. And that was supposed to be a reference from Full House. And I was just like, girl. And I mean, I understand, I get it. But at the same time, it was like, why? Of all things to say, that's what you say? Okay, whatever. So anyway, they end up going their separate ways. And he gets a phone call, who I'm presuming it's from Issa. And he was like, oh, you know, I've been thinking about you. I want to see if we can meet up for drinks or whatever. So I was like, ooh. So when they showed the preview, because I was like, please don't sit up here and make it seem like he is talking about Condola or some other heifer, like the bank heifer he was with and all that, and you know, whatever. So they did the preview, and it actually is Issa, and they met up, and like, he seems like happy-go-lucky, and I'm pretty sure that all of this is going to be because Condola said what she said to him when they were arguing or having a disagreement, which was, you know, would you still be with Issa had she not cheated on you? Because that's the only reason why y'all are not together. And he literally sat there looking like, wow. Like, we didn't have any issues really like that outside of the normal issues that couples have, outside of the fact that she cheated on him. Now, that is a very, very major thing. So we're not going to gloss over that and try to make it seem like, really, that's all she did? Sure, y'all should still be together. No, you doing the least. Ain't nobody got time. But some people are forgiving enough to think and hope and pray that if you give somebody a second chance after that has happened, that they won't do it again. But y'all know a lot of people still will do what they're gonna do. So anyway, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'm thinking about doing 1 or 2 more videos, so we shall see. But anyway, y'all have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye.